What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another Panel B episode. I am your host, Alex Jankowski, joined by the panelists, Julian Edlow, Stephen Buchanan.
Whatever.
Little somber mood today in the podcast studio. Little excitement as well, as we have a lot of things going on, but we are here for you. We are here to talk about how our picks went on Sunday. We are here to talk about the Monday night matchup in Mexico City, Kansas City, and the Chargers. And we have a fun stack to talk about as well. Maybe we'll talk some basketball.
You ready, Julian? For your stack?
Yeah.
Just for context, Alex, every morning before the show, sends us what we're going to be stacking. You know, goes right to our Slack, push notification to your phone. Julian.
I don't do the push notifications. I just check in on Slack from time to time.
No, you can't do that. The whole point is to get a notification to your phone so it's like you're alerted immediately.
Yet my stacks are still more competent than yours, and I do them during the show.
Ouch.
Well, you got me there. I'm not going to lie. You win.
Let's get to our picks. Is there a rebuttal coming here from Buchanan as far as the picks went?
I am
Great week for the Panthers.
So angry about the Panthers. You know what the worst part is, too, is that obviously I made this pick public. One of my buddies, Chris, was telling me, nope, Falcons. I said, dude, no way. And he was blasting me all week.
The
so
Falcons
you can imagine,
got bet down by sharp money from 6.5 to 3.5.
Wow.
You did bring that up on the show, on The Sweat, which we do on Sundays from 11:30 to 1, all the social media platforms. But it literally was... It was a trap. It ended up being a trap.
No way.
And it ruined everything that Julie and I had in life.
Wow.
Like, he's got a baby coming. That's ruined.
That's a little extreme.
I'm just saying, like,
I think the kid will be fine.
Yeah, no, sure.
Couple more bucks in the college fund if the Panthers do cover that spread, but
yeah, it was.
We'll survive.
Watching that game was amazing. Like, they never had a shot. Like, Kyle Allen turned into a puddle. The Falcons' defense is all of a sudden competent. Like, Dan Quinn's like, oh, yep, I figured it out. No problem. This is all I had to do.
He just really needed the pressure on him. The seat needed to be at its hottest. And he's like, all right, I'll start coaching.
I mean, it's amazing.
So the Falcons are the 5th team ever to cover spreads in back-to-back weeks by 30 or more points.
That's ridiculous.
So they were 13, 14-point underdogs in New Orleans, won by 17, I think it was. So they were 30, 31 points away from the spread in that one. They were another 30 points away from the spread, beat the spread by more than 30 in Carolina. So they do it both on the road. They're the only team of those 5 teams to be under 500 and cover consecutive spreads by 30 or more points.
And the worst part is, there's an establishment in the area, a gambling establishment. You can go there and pick who you think's going to win on the week. And if you get, like, the
straight
most
up,
right.
No spread.
Yeah, straight up. I've picked every game correctly except the stupid Panthers game.
Wow.
I have a list. It's in my wallet. I'll show it to the audience.
You don't need to. You got every game except for that one, so they know.
Couple dollars.
That is a $2 bills.
Look at this. Look at all the check marks. I was keeping track. They're all checked. And look. X. Carolina.
X.
X.
Oh, well.
You know what the most fun part about... Well, there's many fun parts about this. The Falcons are now 4-point home favorites against Tampa Bay.
Forget it. No.
Are we...
See, this is what the trap is now, because now everybody's going to be on the Falcons. But my other pick...
Jameis can't throw 4 interceptions again, right?
I don't know. He very well could.
I think he can.
So the Panthers pick was wrong.
Right.
The Cowboys won. No doubter.
Yeah.
That was easy.
That was one of the most publicly backed spreads.
But see, and that's what... Like, I know I was joking about this in the beginning of the week, but it was like... When we didn't know if Stafford was going to be in or not, the line was just so low in the Cowboys. Because then once he was ruled out, it jumped up to 7. I think it ended up at for the Cowboys when it was at 4.5 when they didn't know if Stafford was in. So it was like just huge value there. Like if you're going to be taking a chance like that, just take it early when it's so low because you knew if Stafford was ruled out that line was going to jump. You know.
Yeah, and an injury that it's like one hit, and he
You're
could
right.
very well
You kind
be
of
leaving.
felt like Stafford would probably be long term once you hear broken bones in your back. If it's whoever, like a guy questionable with an ankle sprain, you don't want to be on the wrong side of that, and they get ruled in, and it drops to under 3 or whatever. But in this situation, yes, it worked out.
So typical 1-1.
Yeah. That was mine as well. What was yours, Julian?
2-0.
Oh, look
We
at that.
faded the heavy favorite money part. Technically 3-0 since Buchs made fun of the heavy favorites money line parlay. I then told you could also parlay the Saints and Ravens money lines for plus money. So if you listened to me there, you went 3-0. But I took Saints minus 5.5 and Baltimore minus 4, and both were relatively sweat free, which was great for the first time in a long time.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that got a little dicey, too, because Lattimore was ruled out. On paper, it was a great spot for the Buccaneers, but joke.
Yeah, that one had Saints bounce
There
back
is
written
no
all
great
over it.
spot when your quarterback is Jameis Winston. And
apparently.
I don't want to say to his credit, but the first interception is like bobbled 15 times, and then, it goes from there. But it's always like within 5 passes, right? He's got at least one interception within his first 5 passes.
Like, can you think of anybody else who's more inconsistent than him at quarterback?
Oh, he's consistent. He's consistently turning
it over, yes.
It's 18 interceptions now in like 11 games or
but
something
he'll
like
literally
that?
go out in his next start and he'll throw for like 450 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's amazing.
Right. I mean, he still puts up like salvageable fantasy games every time. It's just because there's always multiple interceptions that go with it. And last year the issue was that they had a competent backup in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it was just they would just yank him before he could come back and save the day. At least like Godwin got into the end zone. All right, like none of those guys went off, but they at least like somewhat salvage it because they're still
who's their backup right now? It is Mike Glennon.
Yeah, okay. Glennon. Well, they got Glennon from the Raiders, but they also have what's his name, Ryan Griffin, that they like a lot. Not to be confused with the tight end on the Jets, who's currently doing fantastic things, doing everything that fantasy players hope that Chris Herndon would do this season.
Right.
Right. So I went 1-1 as well. Good to at least get back in the win column. It's been a while.
Thanks.
It's the Patriots that get me there, covering against the Eagles. Interesting game. We all thought that game would be at least somewhat higher scoring, but not the case. And then losing, the Jaguars not getting the Foles magic. Brissett also coming back. Knew I was in a danger area when the Colts ran a screen pass on like 3rd and 19 and converted, got like a 30-yard gain. Like, all right, Jaguars defense not the same anymore.
Well, the biggest red flag was Julie and I were both like, "You sure you want it? You can change it if you want."
That's
like,
not a red flag to me, though. That encourages me. Sorry.
Well, obviously, maybe rethink that.
London teams coming off London.
Right.
Were 0-6 straight up and against the spread. Now 0-8 straight up and against the spread.
Houston, yeah.
Yep. Houston got smoked by Baltimore. It's been a terrible spot all season. We'll see if there's a Mexico hangover following Chargers-Chiefs. Yeah, big fiesta.
That's Mexico.
Big fiesta tonight.
In a nutshell, Mexico.
Well, I'm not going to talk about the cartels. You got to talk about the happy stuff.
How about the great food?
Yeah. You don't go to Mexico and hear that? I've never been, but I heard that. That's a rumor.
You don't go to Mexico and hear that? I've never been, but
that's a rumor. That's what I've heard.
I too have never been.
I've been to Mexico 3 times. I've never been walking around and just heard that.
You must go to the wrong parts. You must be with the cartels. They're all very silent.
Okay.
You got to go to the party areas. That's what I've heard.
All right.
I've heard Cancun's a party area. That's where I was. I didn't hear any of that.
Loser.
I'm a loser for going to Cancun.
Travel advice from Steve Buchanan. Never been there, but you're a loser if you go to that part.
Well, that's just what I've heard. I don't care.
There we go. I don't care.
What's the best vacation you've ever been on? Best place?
Las Vegas, no doubt. It's like degenerate land, and that's what I am. That's why Julian likes it.
I do enjoy Las Vegas.
What do you do for fun?
I would say, is Atlantic City even more like degenerate land because it's like the sadder
But it's
Las
Atlantic
Vegas?
City.
I've never been to Atlantic City, but all I hear is how like drowsy and drabby it is.
Yeah, you want to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Right.
What's your favorite spot? Switzerland? I think they make a lot of watches there.
Some good chocolate as well.
That's it. Swiss chocolate. What else are we talking about
London.
today?
Atlantis was a great vacation. Went there once.
Okay.
Bahamas.
How do you breathe?
Weird flex. But
Is
okay.
it like underwater?
What do you mean? How do you breathe? No,
I didn't say that.
it's not
You
an
said that.
underwater. It's not an underwater city. It's in the Bahamas. The resort.
Why are you telling
so
me?
it's an
He said it.
homage. It's not
Huh?
actually Atlantis.
There's a place in the Bahamas called Atlantis.
The
That is
resort
not an
is-
underwater
The
city.
resort is named Atlantis, named after the underwater city.
Right.
The legend of the underwater.
But
Maybe
it actually
legend.
isn't an underwater city, but we're going way off script.
Yeah, what else are we talking
What do
about?
we know, though, truly, about that? All right, let's talk about some sports.
Okay.
Okay.
See? Yeah. Real page turner. Football. Chiefs, Chargers. Chargers are favorites? Minus a half a point right now.
The what?
What's that?
The point spread.
The point spread? I have Chargers. Oh.
No way.
Yeah.
The Chargers are like 5-point dogs.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was strange. I should have showed you before I
No, I had
flipped
the
it.
same
I see
thing.
it too.
Yeah, I
I
had the
see
same
it
thing.
too. But
Well, quick mistake there in the line. Maybe you hopped on it right way. Maybe you didn't. Chiefs, 5-point favorites. All right, let's get back on track here. Chiefs, 5-point favorites in Mexico City tonight. 52.5 is the over-under. Chiefs on the money line, minus 235. Chargers, plus 205. My lean here, real quick. The Chargers just play sloppy all the time, but they always find themselves in close games, and then they blow it at the end. So giving them 5 points, I kind of like that.
You go too because you're on the same. You have the same consensus. I want to hear this. Are you prepared?
yeah, let me bring up some numbers.
Numbers.
Anyways, I can't put money down on the Chargers. Like, have we watched how they looked over the past couple of weeks? Horrible. Their
They
offensive
look pretty
line.
good against the Packers.
Like we thought the Texans had a bad offensive line. This might be even worse. It's been absolutely horrendous.
Sure.
So now the Chiefs, with all their weapons, healthy Patrick Mahomes, we're still liking the Chargers in this spot.
Well, what does all their weapons and a healthy Patrick Mahomes have to do with the offensive line of the Chargers?
Because they're not going to be able
And
to
the
get
defense
anything.
of the Chargers.
They're not going to be able to get anything going offensively. Sorry, that was actually really rude. They're not going to be able to get anything going
You
offensively.
finally
It's
recognized.
like pretty standard with how you've been the whole show.
That's true.
All right, I want to bring up. You said how terrible have the Chargers been recently? Their last games lost by 2 points, won over the Packers,
As underdogs.
won by a point,
As
lost by
underdogs.
3 points.
Look at the
Like,
teams. Look at the teams. Titans, Bears, Packers. That was just a weird game.
Packers,
Yeah, but
Raiders,
the
who are in the
Chiefs
playoffs.
The Chiefs just lost to the Titans. Like, the Chiefs aren't playing well. So the Chiefs started 3-0 and 3-0 against the spread. Since then, they've dropped 4 games. They're 2-5 against the spread in their last 7. And then you have a Chargers team that generally gets going a little bit more at this point of the season. Prior
Little
to
healthier.
prior to a 2-point divisional loss on the road on a short week, they won outright as underdogs against the Packers, outright as underdogs against the Bears. They played on the Thursday night game, so they've had 10 days off to prepare for this one in the division.
Yep.
The Chiefs have been practicing at home all week. The Chargers have been practicing at the Air Force
Colorado,
Academy in
yeah.
Colorado Springs, which is the same elevation as where we're going to be for this fiesta tonight in Mexico City. I think the points here with the Chargers is the smart way to go. Now, Buchs, tell us why you're going to hop on the public favorite that has like 70% of the money on the Chiefs -5.
I mean, you're kind of right. I just,
Contrition.
honestly, I'm still dealing with Panthers backlash. I think I just don't
Yeah,
want to.
you don't know what to pick now.
No, I
You
don't.
can't
I
pick a game
don't.
for your life because the Panthers
No,
got
no, no,
smoked
no.
by the Falcons.
I got the Cowboys. That was fine.
I mean, think about how
Well, no,
bad.
I'm just saying. Yeah, no, but you picked that last week. I'm saying now that the Panthers thing has occurred, you cannot pick any games.
I'm rattled. I'm absolutely shaken right now.
The Chargers-Raiders game started as poorly as it could have, right, for the Chargers. They have the weapons to get back into it, and they
Right,
will
they
in
made
this
that
one,
one.
too. Like, the Chiefs can come out, throw 2 bombs, like, with the thin air. Mahomes can throw it probably 90 yards. But then you're going to just have, like, dump-offs to Eckler for the next
Yeah.
20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, Phillip Rivers will have the ball down 7 or 8 with a chance to, tie it. He'll probably maybe throw an interception. What we can't have happen.
I hope Phillip Rivers has the ball down 4.
What we can't have happen is what happened with the 49ers and the Cardinals.
That was maybe the worst beat of the
God.
season.
Yeah, that was crazy.
The last play of the game, and they try the lateral, whatnot. Any team will just fall on the ball, kick it out of bounds, do anything, and it still squirts around. Who was the guy? I want to know the name and look into this guy.
Show yourself.
Whoever it was on the Cardinals who just, he threw it 20 yards behind him. He's just last chance heave, and that just made it so easy to just pick it up and get the extra 2 yards needed for the score.
Smelled fishy.
Which I believe we didn't even need the extra point because I think on DK they closed at 9.5. But
that had to have been the
for
worst.
some
Was that
books you
9?
needed-
I saw it at 9 at points
because
in
at some
time. I
books
don't
you
know what
needed
it
them to
closed.
kick the extra point to then turn it. But
Yep.
That had to have been the worst backdoor cover this season.
This season,
Ooh,
yeah. There
yeah.
was a
Fun-
similar one on Monday Night Football once with the Chiefs that got
was that the Bradley
they returned
Roby?
A lateral to cover a spread, and it hit that one was for the spread and the over, so it swung both outcomes on
Fun
the
story from our fun nugget from DraftKings Sportsbook in New Jersey that they told us and our social team. If it's the favorite that does that, it's called a front door cover, not a back door cover. If it's the favorite,
I've never heard of that before.
covering the spread.
Have you ever heard of a front door?
Never heard it.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not really even putting it up for debate. That's what I'm told by the professionals who.
I will
do
take their
this.
word for it, but I'm never going to
A
use that term
front
ever.
door cover.
Because
It
if I
just-
said that here, if I said it here, you'd both be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, well, I'm getting the looks from you both right now as I explain it.
We're not okay. So
It's tough because there's no front door cut in basketball, or maybe there is, and you just don't use it because you only ever talk about back door cuts.
no front doors here. We're going to make that a rule. No front door covers. Period.
Okay. Well,
Exclamation point, actually.
just relaying the information given to me by the professionals.
Thank you for the words of wisdom.
When I Google front door
Oh,
cover,
jeez.
I get all types of things to cover your front door of your own.
A nice wrap, a nice festive holiday wrap.
Some Home Depot, some Lowe's.
Hey.
Potential future sponsors of the show.
I'd prefer Lowe's. Anyways.
Were you hurt by
I
that
like Home
front door
Depot.
cover? Well, never losing another
When
front
I Google
door cover.
backdoor cover, a million sports clips come up.
All right, so front door cover has an image problem. We are here to help change the image. PR 101. Let's talk about this actual game again, though.
Sure.
Over under 52.5. I mean, I because of the thoughts around the Chiefs, which probably, Mahomes is on the cover of Madden. Probably why a lot of people like the Chiefs in this spot. I'd imagine a lot of people like the over in this spot as well. But you talk about an environment that's just tough to gauge. It's unique. Going to run out of breath quicker.
Not the Chargers.
Maybe not the Chargers, who have had the extra time to rest as well, having played on Thursday previously. What do we think about this? Over under 52.5.
Well, so tough because you got Kansas City, who's 7-3 on hitting the over.
Sure.
Chargers 3-7. So literally two ends of the spectrum here.
Yep.
I just can't get behind the Chargers making up the difference. I do think they'll score some points in this game, but I'm not giving them more than 21, 24
And if the
points here.
Chargers are covering or winning,
Yeah.
at least covering, it's going to be a tighter, lower score.
If
Right.
you like the Chargers, you probably like the under.
Yes.
But I like the Chargers much more than I like the under.
The only thing that makes you think is that the Chiefs have by far one of the worst run defenses in the league. It's been progressively getting worse and worse. And now we have Melvin Gordon looking a lot better finally. The first few weeks he came back, that was his quote unquote preseason, and now he's back into form.
Yep.
Eckler still being very much used in the passing game. He's still the big threat in the passing game. That's a big thing too, because you look at the receiving yards that the Chiefs have given up, a ton. They had that 173 game against the Packers, which was a big chunk of that was from Aaron Jones when he had a 60, 70-yard reception. That was a big chunk of it. But consistently, 40 yards or above in that realm every single game. now they have a team that uses that heavily with the Chargers. That could be a big area to focus on.
Mm-hmm. What do we make of the Chiefs' backfield, given that so Damian Williams was questionable with the personal thing? It sounds like he's fine. He's already rejoined the team. But a lot of people are going to go to Damian Williams because he's been getting the bulk now for at least 2 straight weeks. However, can we overlook the fact LaShawn McCoy was sat, load managed last week? Does that not mean then that he plays this week? Plays,
it's a really like the Chiefs' backfield has been a terrible situation to try and gauge all season.
It's definitely been a roller coaster. So you kind of
been a roller coaster. So now,
it.
McCoy gets the rest. So does that mean he's going to be more heavily featured in this one? And it's exactly like he just did. I don't know. Nobody knows, and they're not going to tell us. So it makes the Chiefs' backfield is completely. If you're throwing tournament darts here. Mm-hmm. Multiple lineups, you go with every scenario. Yeah. And if you're trying to play in cash, you probably just want to fade the Chiefs' backfield altogether and probably look to the Chargers running backs.
Sure. And for price purposes, Damian Williams is 74, Eckler is 66, Melvin Gordon is up at 86. The 3 most expensive players are Chiefs. So you have Mahomes 12, Tyreek 10.6, Kelsey 9, but then Rivers is at 88. Gordon, 86, Keenan, 84, Hunter Henry, 82. For captains discussion, these primetime games, like DSTs, have been really showing out. The Chiefs,
Sunday night,
have done that as well in other games. So maybe it's more just paying down at the captain's spot. But when you look at this game, who maybe stands out to you as a route to go? Obviously, Mahomes, I'm not going to argue against it, but you're talking about a sizable portion of your salary cap.
I like Eckler a lot in the captain. If you're just going by the spread, obviously the Chargers are going to be playing from behind. Mm-hmm. You guys don't think so, but if that's the consensus there, he's going to be getting those passes out of the backfield, and that's literally where the Chiefs have been gashed. So if there's an area to capitalize on, obviously with the PPR points, that's one thing to consider as well. But to captain him at 9,900 leaves you with an average of 8,000 for the rest of your lineup. That is a healthy amount of salary to use to get some of those big names in. So I think Eckler is a pretty sharp play, but that's just my opinion, so who knows.
Because there's so much room, I think you can consider going Melvin Gordon and still being able to make a formidable lineup with some of those top guys. It's not that much different to have almost 7,500 per player remaining. You just got to go down and grab a value, and then you can take more of those guys off the top of the board. So
it's viable to have both of those in your lineup.
And you can whichever one you don't captain, you can play the other just fine. So I think, I'm looking at the Chargers' backfield here.
One other name, Mike Williams, still searching for his first touchdown of the year. Disappointing game still regardless. Against Oakland, only got 3 targets for the second straight week. Caught 2 of them for 55 yards. I mean, he gets the chunk plays. He gets the air yards. And he's a big-bodied guy who should be used in the red zone. Definitely does not benefit, obviously, from Hunter Henry coming back. But he's down to 5,800. So another guy who's potentially, I think he's definitely a GPP viable, as everyone is in Showdown. But another guy who, when he pops, he gives you a good floor regardless. With 3 targets, he can turn it into 55 to 100 yards, but he could get potentially multiple scores on top of that. Could be slate-breaking performance there.
Well, that's the thing, too, you want in the captain spot. You want that guy who pops, obviously. But Williams is that classic case of that because you see what he did against Green Bay. Like you said, 3 targets, 3 receptions, but 111 yards. You take the 1.5 there, you're looking at about 26, 27 DraftKings fantasy points there at the captain spot at really cheap price, too. Yeah. So getting that, and his captain ownership is going to be next to nothing.
Right.
Especially with some of the names on this slate.
Right. And the flip side of that, Mecole Hardman, 1 target, 1 catch, 63 yards, touchdown last week. Week before that, 0 targets. Before that, 2 targets, 1 touchdown. Week before that, 3 targets, 1 touchdown.
You're paying $4,800 for a deep touchdown, or $7,200 if you're captaining him. You're looking for 1 deep touchdown.
Sure. And again, with all the what we don't really know what the situation is in the backfield, plus I don't really know we need to put too much thought into the thinner air with a guy like Mahomes who can already throw it so far. It's probably more on the kickers and maybe we see a 60-yard field goal in this game. Who knows? Would like to see one at least attempted. Would be fun. But for some season-long interest. But that's this game. Any other thoughts that we might have on it?
Oh, I hope they go to siesta.
Sure. Why not?
I like the Chargers.
We've exhausted our Spanish vocabulary with fiesta and siesta.
Oh,
and whatever noise Buchanan made earlier. You want to do that one more time? There you go.
Thank you.
Tie a bow on it. Alrighty. Do we have any thoughts on the NBA slate? There's a pretty heavy... the NBA, I mean, they got a lot of action these next couple days. It's 9 games tonight. Drive the Bus won Julian Edlow. You got Giannis playing tonight. Anything else stand out to you?
So there's a lot of big names questionable going into this slate, which I think is the main thing. So this is going to be one of those times before a lock where you're going to need to be at your laptop looking at what's going on and following the news. So you got DK Live for that. That'll help you out.
What do you make of Paul George's triumphant return?
Yeah, Paul George has been solid, and it's going to be interesting to see how he blends with Kawhi. But they have obviously he's done very well in terms of especially getting eased back in. But we still need to see what the two of them look like together. So Kawhi's one of the names for tonight, which eventually he's going to get back. We'll see if they keep resting him and kind of just let Paul George have his own moment against his former team. But this slate's got a lot to monitor. Kyrie, Sabonis, Kawhi, obviously.
The entire Indiana Pacers team.
Well, yeah, really the entire Pacers team. Sabonis just kind of being the best fantasy play there lately. So this is going to be a slate where you're going to have to be really flexible with 9 games, basically. Like, whatever your thoughts are early in the day, just be ready to shift off of them. From a sportsbook angle, all the best trends that I've kind of been going after, none of those teams are on this slate. Like Golden State and New Orleans, the overs there.
Here we go. Breaking news. Sabonis playing and starting.
Okay, so you got Sabonis.
Thank God.
Buchs now has some direction for tonight. I do think that Giannis against Chicago, especially in Chicago, is a really safe play just because that should be a closer game than you generally get in Milwaukee. So I think Giannis is probably the, I want to say safest play, but Harden has been lately. So, like, with Harden, we had at the start of the season, we had Westbrook putting up numbers, and it was like, whoa, maybe these guys are kind of going to be equal fantasy parts. And it didn't take long for Westbrook to really simmer down into an average play and Harden to get back to 12,000 and be scoring over 60 DK points every night. So, I think it comes down to Giannis and Harden in cash. Which one are you going to want to play there?
Mm-hmm.
Giannis.
You concur?
Okay. Yep.
Have you learned how to spell his name properly yet?
Last name or first name?
Last name.
A-N-T and all the rest of it.
And then just smash the keyboard. Fair enough.
Not far off.
All right. Well, it is time for our stack.
Oh, yeah.
We're sticking to the birds of the NFL. We're going Atlanta Falcons.
Julian first.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Let's hear it.
Let's go. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, flex.
Okay. Quarterback. I'm going with Matt Ryan.
Boo.
Hold on. Quarterback. I'm going with Matt
nobody
Ryan.
Else.
He's been. There absolutely is somebody else that's going into my flex.
Whoa, super flex.
Super flex. Matt Ryan, prior to that ankle injury, just even talking about this season, was a really safe cash play. He was on cash teams every week just because of his floor in terms of how many passes he attempts. And he's been that guy throughout his career. He has an MVP. He's been a guy that gets you a lot of yards and finds the end zone enough. But the yards and attempts that he gets, I think, makes him a better fantasy player than he actually is a quarterback. And a big reason for that is the chunk plays to my wide receiver, Julio Jones. Sure. Just because him, too, like the yards that he gets, if his touchdowns ever equaled out to what they should be for the amount of receptions and the amount of yards that he has, he would be, one of the greatest fantasy wide receivers of all time. Instead, he's just a very, very good one. I don't really know how you argue with Julio Jones at wide receiver. Running back's an interesting one for the Falcons because there's a lot of ways you can go depending on what type of angle you took.
They just have never had longevity. They've had a lot of really good running backs, but they only pop off for a couple seasons.
4 or 5 years.
So I went with Michael Turner because I thought that he had the best individual season and brief stint of seasons while he was there. He had a year where you can arguably, I remember, I think it was 2008 was his monster season.
His first year.
Yeah, his first year.
With the Falcons. Yeah.
First year in Atlanta. And people weren't really on to him. He was like a 3rd or 4th round pick in season long or even later that year because he was LaDainian Tomlinson's backup for so long in San Diego. But I remember in 2009, coming off that 2008 season, I was in a season-long league where Michael Turner went number 1 overall. Now, Adrian Peterson was the correct answer. They made the wrong choice, but that argument was there. So I think that having that type of ceiling makes him the running back play. And then the flex, I don't know what you're considering, Buchs, but Michael Vick goes in the flex because he was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson, and to have that rushing floor was just ridiculous. So Michael Vick was an easy one. I just didn't use him in quarterback because I wanted to save the best for last. Michael Vick, one of my all-time favorites.
Michael Vick's not a nice man, so that's why I didn't consider him. I like dogs. He does not. So, not on my list.
I believe there's who was the last one? There was somebody who you gave me crap for. You said, I don't care what he did off the field.
Yeah,
Probably. Buchs is a very,
you really
very inconsistent debater.
Nope, it's the only way it benefits me. I don't care. I'll just come on and say it.
Wow. So
The
Jameis
it's weird
Winston
that you decided
of stack
to be
picking.
such a good Samaritan today.
Well, just Michael Vick was mean to dogs. That's not very nice.
No one disagrees with that.
I still like O.J. Simpson.
I'm not even going to say anything. I'm going to try and see you dig out of this one.
There's nothing to dig out of. There's nothing to dig out of. He's got an entertaining Twitter feed. Is there anything wrong with that?
Moving on.
I don't know where.
No, there's nothing wrong with having an entertaining Twitter feed. It's so that's what the value you pull from that justifies.
I do enjoy watching him complain about his fantasy players getting in bad situations.
Which
it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Yeah, he's the guy who has 100 different fantasy teams, so he has every single player, I guess, apparently.
And then every video is like, "Hey, Twitter world!" Like we don't know we're on Twitter to begin with. He's an old guy though, little kooky in the head. Do you want to do your stack or should I do mine?
No, you go.
Kooky in the head. I thought he was a stand-up guy.
By all means, do your stack.
All right, so I had Matt Ryan at quarterback.
Okay.
I think that's the obvious answer. Not Michael Vick because he's not a nice guy.
Okay.
I have Michael Turner as running back. What?
Oh, you're bashing Michael Vick and you're a huge OJ supporter.
Well, because I had the Pog Slammer.
Oh, so you had the Pog Slammer.
Remember, it all comes back to the Pog Slammer.
Yeah, you
I mean, I love dogs, but I also like humans. So.
I don't know.
Hold on, check the notes.
For the record, not guilty. 2008 for Michael Turner was the year you're talking about. That's the game he had the 22 rushes, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns that game.
A lot of twos.
And then he had a 4-touchdown game against the Panthers. Panthers. Again, all comes back to the Panthers. But Michael Turner.
All comes back to the Falcons smashing the Panthers.
By the way, was this on purpose? I meant to ask you this. Did you do the Falcons on purpose because you knew my best bet was against the Falcons?
Nope. It was randomly generated.
It was the random generator. It was the next on the list.
A little conspiracy theory there. I had Roddy White as my wide receiver. Oh, why? What's wrong with Roddy White?
Julio Jones is way better.
You need to tell me what's right with Roddy White. This is your stack.
You know, it's cool. Did he go to UAB? He was a Blazer.
You might be right about that.
That's pretty cool.
So 2010, 2011, 215 receptions, 2,600 receiving yards. Like that's just like unheard of. Like 115. Play. Yes, 115 receptions in one, 100 in the other. Like dude was just absolutely smashing. My flex is not a player. My flex is they have the best concession prices in all
they
football.
They do. That's actually, I do like
that
the flex.
Well, it helps
legit.
when one of their places is closed on game days.
So
Chick-fil-A isn't open on Sundays.
Yeah, but it is there for They always have college on Saturdays,
yeah.
and they have the SEC championship game there.
But like that should be the blueprint for everybody else. Sure. But nobody do it because they're selfish.
$3 beers, $2 hot dogs. I can get
amazing.
on board with that.
Yeah.
Like nobody else has implemented that, which is sad.
Yeah.
But if I was going to go to a game anywhere, it'd be that one.
It missed out on my flex, but also shout out to brand ambassador Ludacris, who had a Falcons-themed Get Back remix or stand-up remix. I can't remember what song it was. One of the Maddens.
Sounds fun.
Peerless Price. Yep. Man, those teams were fun.
I'm done.
So I want Michael Vick as my quarterback over Matt Ryan.
Do you know what he did to dogs?
I'm well aware. I'm well aware. Speaking about on-field accomplishments,
that's fine.
Changing the game, breaking Madden, in and of itself, but the upside there is far higher.
Sure.
Running back, I also went with Michael Turner, but shout out a couple guys here. Gerald Riggs, who actually leads the team franchise in rushing.
Yep.
Warwick Dunn, another guy who in a PPR format kills it. Poor choice of words there. Number 12 on the all-time rushing list for the Atlanta Falcons is a man named Cannonball Butler, who is now my favorite person of all time, given his name, Cannonball Butler.
When did he play?
In the 60s and 70s.
Oh, right in Buchs' era.
Yeah. Trying to find out. He was five.
Only his name was Cannonball
5'9".
That would be amazing.
He's pretty much was Michael Turner, 5'9", 190 pounds, from 68 to 71 fullback. Lost 21 fumbles, though, in a very short period of time. That is not good.
Butterfingers Butler.
Yeah. I'm sure he earned a couple more nicknames after that. Michael Turner, though, 81.1 yards per game while he was there. Just in only 75 games, outrushed so many other players. Michael Vick, the sixth highest rushing total.
I'm just laughing at the name Cannonball
Buchanan.
Cannonball
Butler.
No, I'm now obsessed with the name Cannonball Buchanan, which you now somehow have to incorporate into your life.
Merchandise coming soon.
There's some great names on the Falcons rushing list. You have Haskell Stanback. Oh, producer Matt brings up a great point for someone who has a child coming in. Maybe you have a name picked out. Maybe you don't. Cannonball Edlow.
Whoa!
It works for Buchs. That's a child name. Cannonball Buchanan.
Baller.
Yeah. A couple other great names here, though. Obviously, Jarius Norwood. Everyone remembers him. Bubba Bean, another running back. Bubba Buchanan.
Bubba Bean, Cannonball Buchanan.
I tried so hard not to cough because I was going to choke.
You did a good job. My wide receiver is also Julio Jones. My flex is Jamal Anderson. Talk about great single seasons. His 98 season was excellent, and also from a culture perspective, as we always like to talk about on these.
Dirty Bird.
The Dirty Bird. One of the best. It's up there with the Mile High Salute for being best, came in the same year, 90s era touchdown celebrations, back when they were great before, they got banned and now they're back again. But we haven't seen any that are as iconic. The Lambeau Leap is up there,
Nothing
obviously.
Iconic, no, but they're getting better.
We
got a keg stand yesterday.
Yeah, to the fullback. Get out of here.
To the offensive linemen.
Yeah, those are the guys that like keg stands.
Little note, though. He never got close to scoring that touchdown. They reviewed it, and he didn't get it, and he didn't get the touchdown. But
he still got the keg stand.
To the naked eye, he was never close to scoring that touchdown.
He wasn't even close.
I don't even think his helmet crossed.
And he was like, let's do it.
But they were like, why not? Why not at least get him in there? He might have, even if just because he didn't fumble it, they might have celebrated.
I always want to know, especially with the guys who really aren't involved in the offense to begin with, like someone like him. When do these practice these and work these out? Or is it just at the moment? He scored and he's like, all right, let's do a keg stand. Right then and there.
They had to have practiced that because they had the guy get down and there was,
But what constitutes that's going to be his celebration? You know what I mean?
I'm sure they ran that package in practice.
Do they have a playbook of celebrations and then they call it out and they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do?
You don't have enough time for that. No, I think certainly they ran this play once in practice. Yeah, and he's like, if I get it, this is what we're doing.
Fine.
Makes pretty
Guys, the Chargers bet all over again. We totally changed your mind.
Fine.
Fine.
Old Cannonball Buchanan over here.
Here we go. At least it's not
That's
Bucks.
amazing.
I'll take it over Bucks.
Jakiz. That's another great one.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons? Chris Chandler just couldn't make it into our stacks.
I'll tell you, so I'm never going to make it into any of my bets. Anything to do with the Falcons, so they can just.
Is that defense back?
Shut up.
I told you that.
You bet on them too!
I know.
But you told me? What did you tell me?
But I didn't make him one of my plays of the week. I told you that I wanted to be careful and make sure that the Falcons coming out of the bye hadn't found something on defense.
Oh, my God.
Clearly, they have.
You know, a guy who we did miss as an honorable mention or a flex play would be Tony Gonzalez. Because he had some good years there.
Yep. That's true.
Reminder, though, Jamal Anderson, single season, 98, 1,846 yards. Just insane. Insane production.
How are you going to bet them this week?
Against Tampa, I don't want to bet that game.
Bet the over.
You were such a fraud.
That's
52.5 as well.
But Atlanta's defense might be good now.
What are you, burping?
No, I'm thinking hard. That's the noise I make when I think too hard.
He emits a gaseous.
That's why I've never heard it before.
Yeah. The Falcons are breaking brains left and right. I'm not touching that game.
Fine.
The Panthers are what's breaking Buchs over here.
All right, just wrap this up. This is like an hour-long
33 DK points, though, still. 10,500.
He, no matter the situation, the team scores 3 points at home. He gets 33 DraftKings points.
Good fade this week.
What's his price at?
10-5.
Oh, they're just going to leave it there.
Versus the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Good fade this week.
For now.
You can play him.
Yeah, you can. You can play anybody you want. I'm just saying I'm fading them this week.
Okay.
The flag has been set.
All right, I'll close my computer. Wrap this up.
About time to remind everyone that the odds and lines are subject to change. Please see website for actual odds. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and would like help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Ladies and gentlemen, for Julian Edlow, for Stephen Buchanan, I'm Alex Jankowski. It has been an absolute pleasure, and we will see you next time.